Hello, hello, hello. Thanks for tuning in to this session. My name is KC Lau from kclau.com. So I'm so happy also have Mr. Yap Meng Hui back. So he is the founder of Whitman, which is a very famous independent financial planning firm. And if you talk about independent financial planners, I think they are the top firm that you can look to. And then they have a lot of many planners that can help you, whether you are very wealthy or you're in the middle class, or even now they come up with the app iWealth, which is basically covering all those who cannot afford a financial planner yet, right? But soon to be. So, Mr. Yap, so glad to have you back. So today's we are going to walk through some case studies, where these case studies are the people that actually attended the webinar before this, where they submit the details and then they actually ask your help to go through their financials, and you are going to give them some suggestion. So why not? I'll just let you lead the session and talk about how you are going to help them with their cases.
Okay.
So starting sharing screen. Yes, I'm seeing your screen right now.
Yes. So you're right to say that in the last webinar that we have, we did offer your followers or your listeners come forward to share with their financial information so that we can use our mobile app called iWealth to do some analysis and give some suggestion to them on how to improve their financial position. Of course, this iWealth is meant to be DIY. So that's why you're right just now. For those soon to be wealthy after following you for some years, okay, it's good for them to start with this iWealth plan to have a DIY financial plan for themselves. Okay, so but today in today's seminar, I have selected three cases, okay, and all three with different background, and I hope to share how we use iWealth to do planning for them. Okay, now let me start. Okay, case number one. Of course, I've hidden the name so that we can protect the privacy of the follower. I just call this person called Mr. Klein One. Klein One. He is 42 years old. His retirement age is 60. He has active income of 146,000. Okay, he got zero passive income. His household expenses, which means say the whole family, including his wife, children, everything, is, let's see, how do I go back? Let's see, I go back here. Go back. Okay, so his household expenses is 132,000. He planned that when he retire, he will spend about 84,000 a year. Okay, now next, because in this app, our estimated or assumption on inflation rate is 5%. And this Mr. Klein One has got a total asset of 800,000, including his house. His house is worth 700,000, and he has got a total liability of 690,000. So his net worth is negative 590. Okay, here I want to highlight the way we calculate net worth in this app is that we will take the total asset minus of the home and then minus of the liabilities. That's how we get negative 590,000. Okay.
So in other words, you don't count the resident they're staying in. So you don't count.
Yes, because we want to take away the resident so that we only live with those investment asset and investment liability. Then we'll be able to see how well are you growing your wealth. Okay. So currently, this client one, his return that he's getting for the whole portfolio that he's getting is 3%. Okay. Next, his spouse is 47 years old, aim to retire at 60 years old, has got active income of 100,000. Okay, and they got two children, one 15 years old, another one 17 years old, and he intends to provide 150,000 for the tertiary education, each of them. As mentioned to you before, they can actually put in more financial goals here, but I guess for this particular Mr. Klein one, their main financial goal is to have a good retirement and have a good tertiary education for the children. So they do not have any other financial goal here so far. Okay. So if we were to do a analysis, we can see the current situation of this Mr. Client one here. The wealth will increase, okay, to maybe 300. The net worth will go to about 300,000. Then after that, drop and finish by the age 59 years old. So, is it exciting? Is it?
No, no.
No.
So I guess
Your followers should do better than this, isn't it? So you have to attend more module from you. Okay?
Yep.
So in this situation, the app allow you supposed to guide you so that you'll be able to grow your wealth. You grow your wealth. See, grow your wealth in such a way that your wealth will grow higher and longer and to touch 85 years old. Touch 85 years old. That meaning that you are earning enough income, you're saving enough money, and you're growing wealth fast enough to achieve your financial goal. So in this case, the wealth obviously is not growing fast enough. Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
So next, we have got a few suggestions to this Mr. Client one. Number one is to reduce the household income, household expenses. So instead of spending 132,000, we suggest him to reduce expenses to 120,000 to save 12,000. So if he were to do that, you can see the blue color line here that the wealth actually can go higher and will drop longer. Okay, it will reach at the age of 60 years old. Okay, and you can see at the age of 60 years old, he also got an extra 407,000. Okay, by taking this action, it's still quite far away from achieving 85 years old. So we need to take another action. Say to increase the return from 3% to 8%. So by doing so, now the wealth can last up to 62 years old, okay, but still quite far. Okay, so the next question the person can do is to reduce these retirement expenses. Okay, instead of aiming for 84,000, the person may need to aim for 50,000 instead. So then you can see the wealth can last longer to 64 years old. And still yet, you can see it's still not achieving 85 years old. So the action we suggest is to reduce education fee. Instead of providing for 150,000, reduce it to 100,000. Okay, again, it moved slightly further, but still not enough. So as you can see here, when we do planning for most Malaysians, Malaysian, when they do planning without a proper chart, proper calculation, I would say that basically you are planning in the dark because you do not know whether when you increase the return, how much your wealth will grow. When you reduce the tertiary education cost for your children, you also do not know how your wealth will grow. But by using this app, you can see clearly by doing one adjustment, you can see clearly how would it increase your wealth or improve your financial position. Okay, so if you see that if it's not enough, then you need to take further action. So in this case, we will suggest the client to delay the retirement age. Okay, instead of retiring at age 60 years old, we will suggest the client and the spouse to retire at age 66. Okay, then only they'll be able to get their wealth to last until the age 85. Okay, and by doing so, you can see at the age of 60 years old, instead of having almost zero in the beginning, now they will have an extra of 2.1 million if they were to follow this new path. Okay. All in all, we can see that to improve this Mr. Client one situation, these are the list of the action the person needs to do. And you can see the suggestion that we ask him to do to save more money, the amount that we ask him to save is very specific. Okay, to save extra 12,000 so that he can have save 99,000 a year, to resource a return from 3% to 8%, to reduce the retirement expenses from 84 to 50,000, children tertiary education from 150,000 to 100,000, and delay retirement age from 60 to 66. You can see that all these suggestions are all very specific, okay, and so that you'll be able to use that as a path, as a guide for you to manage your personal finance, to manage your investment, so that you eventually will reach the asset, to reach your financial freedom. So if I can go back to the previous slide, is that you can see by doing so, then you will be able to get all your wealth to work together to help you to achieve financial freedom and to achieve the financial goal that you want. What do you think, KC?
Yeah, this sounds like a plan. So you have to like incorporate all of the area, right? Reduce your expense.
Yes,
So,
it is a what you say is true, KC. Most calculator in the market, they are like just only a retirement calculator. So or they are just a children's tertiary education calculator. So they will calculate these two planning separately, so integrated. But you can see here, we're calculating your children's tertiary education goal, your retirement goal, or maybe you want to buy a dream home, you want to plan for your family vacation, or you want to buy a big car, all combined into one chart, and you can plan from there using holistic strategy. So, and then if I were to comment on what are the risks for this Mr. Klein want to watch out for, number one, he's still relatively young, he's 42 years old, so he may want to make sure that he got enough insurance to cover his income loss should he something happen to him, he's not able to work, then he will lose this income stream. Okay. Plus also he also got quite a big liability for his mortgage loan, so he may need some insurance coverage to cover this or to offset this loan should something happen to him. Number two, medical expenses for himself, his wife, and children. Coverage is also very important to make sure that, especially when he's older, there is a medical coverage for him. And currently, the return is very low. He's putting most of his money maybe in a bank or fixed deposit, giving him only about 3% return. So with that kind of return, inflation can easily eat into his money, his wealth. Plus also, his wealth will not be able to work hard enough for him to grow as well. Okay. If we talk about what opportunities that this client one can grab, the good news is he is still 42 years old. He's still got 18 years before he retire. So from now to 60 years old, he need to take corrective action like what suggested just now, and focus on taking all this action. Focus on the resources. So there's still a high chance for him to achieve his financial goals and retirement. And so far, his income is quite good. I will foresee for the next 10 years, his income will continue to grow before it peak maybe at the age of 50 or 55 years old. So during this period of time, it's very important for him to save the money, okay, and take the money that he saved to invest, to build and grow more asset, okay. And very importantly is that even though when you look at the current roadmap, current financial plan, it may not be very exciting, very comfortable. There seems to be a lot of things to be done, but I think it's important that we know it earlier than later. So I would suggest this client want to face the truth, and then do something about it, okay, rather than you discover your position when you are 55 years old. So by then it's too late for you to do anything already. So this is a client one situation.
Okay, good. So client one situation is that they are couples and they have 2 children who are going to college very soon, right? Just a few years time.
Yes.
So how about client number 2? What's his situation?
Client number 2, by the way, if you want to download this app for yourself, you can go to Apple and Google Store to download the app. Okay.
Yeah, it's a free app. Yep.
Pardon?
No, it's a free app. I'm telling them. No.
Yeah. You
No.
won't charge me for that, KC? Or you bill me later.
If I bill you later,
Okay.
you have to bill them later.
Okay. I'll pay you. Okay. Now, so this case number two, client number two, is a much younger guy. He's only 31 years old. So it's good to have some young follow like this. You are able to educate them. They can learn more, become more competent in managing their finance. So this person intend to retire at 60 years old. Of course, when the person is young, the income is also relatively lower. His annual income is only 58,000. Okay, his total household expenses is 90,000, and when he retire, he hope to have 50,000 expenses. Okay, his wife, the total asset they have now is 688,000. He doesn't have a home. I presume that he may either rent a home, rent a house, or stay with the parents. But he got liability of 410,000. So his net worth is 278,000. So you can see in this case, even though this client 2 is younger, but his net worth is more than the client 1. Okay, his current return is again not too high at 3%. Okay, now his wife is also 31 years old, plan to retire at 60 years old, earning 35,800 a year. Okay, no passive income, and they got baby girl. The baby girl is only 1 year old, and they plan to provide 200,000 for the child, tertiary education. And again, under the financial goals, they do not put in any other financial goals. Okay?
Yeah, just a question. When we
Sure.
enter the figure for the children education, so we enter like 200,000. Is it the
Yes.
current value? Like that's
Yeah, current value. Yes.
okay.
So the app, mobile app, will do the calculation factoring into this inflation factors.
Okay.
Say the baby girl become like 18 years old or 19 years old, this 1,000 may become 400,000 already.
So
we
it's the
might,
same. So it's the same for our other financial goals as well, right? When you put your
yes,
dream house, you will put the current value, right?
yes, everything that you key in family current value, then we take care of the calculation, the inflation on our back end calculation.
Okay, good.
Good. That's a good question. Now, so you can see that his wealth also do not last very long. He's 31 years old, and then his wealth will last at the age of 47 years old. Okay. If you remember, I guess that is somewhere when the child supposed to go to university. That's where it's a big drop here. No? So how do we improve such a situation? Okay, see.
Still have quite some long time to plan. So
Still a long time to plan, huh?
yeah, I mean you plan and you can still have long time to execute it, right? So I guess you have to tackle it from many different aspects as well, right? Like with income
Yes.
return, or maybe reduce the child education's needs.
Yeah. So you are right. There is no one simple solution. We need a combination of different strategies. So let me show you. First, we will ask this client to save more money. We ask him to save about 18,000, a year. Okay, so that he will reduce his expenses from 90,000 to 71,000. So by doing so, you can see that even though there's a drop here, but there is still some money left, and then it will last, his wealth will last up to the age of 60 years old. Okay. We can see by doing this action alone, by saving extra, say maybe 1,500 per month, he would have extra 84,000 at the age of 60 years old, and compared to deficit before, he would have extra of 1.4 million. So one thing I personally find it useful for this app is that you can basically put a price tag for every strategy that you plan to implement. And then you can see that, for example, this strategy, okay, will give you an extra 1.4 million when you are age 60 years old. Okay, and if you don't do that, meaning that you got negative when you are age 60 years old. As obviously, this is still far from 85 years old. So second action that we suggest to do is to increase the return from 3% to 8%. So we can see here, the wealth now can last up to 74 years old. Now you may also wonder to see, hey, how come for this client 2, even though he's doing the same thing from 3% to 8% compared to client 1, the impact is so much different. You can see from 60 years old, then the difference that the wealth can last another extra 14 years. Compared to basically client 1 just now, even though increase the return from 3 to 8%, but the increment of the years is only 2 to 3 years only. What do you think that's the reason? Okay, say.
Yeah, because of the longer time horizon.
Yes. Yeah. That's why I totally agree with KC that we always, whenever we start planning for finance, even though we have less income, even though it's not so much asset to plan, but when we start earlier, with slight action that we take, we can make time our ally. We can let the time compound the return. You can see here the wealth at the age 60 years old now increased to 3.9 million. Okay, but still it's not touching 85 years old yet. So like what KC said just now, maybe 200,000 is too much. We should actually reduce it to 100,000. Okay, so then it only touched 80 years old, and next the person still need to do some adjustment so that his retirement expenses from 50,000 reduced to 43 years old. That's where it will hit 85 years old. Okay, so as we can see here, when this person is now 31 years old, and then he can use this app to plan his wealth until the age of 85. That is about 50 years kind of time horizon. So, and 50 years time horizon, I'm sure KC will agree that that give you ample time advantage to you.
Yep, I agree.
Okay, so next, so if I can conclude, these are the strategy that the person can do. Save extra 18,000, increase the return to 8%, reduce tertiary education from 200,000 to 100,000, reduce retirement expenses from 50,000 to 43,000. So by doing so, he will be able to achieve his financial freedom. Okay, so so don't be too concerned that you are too young to plan. The younger that you start, the more opportunity that you have. So what are the risks to watch out for this client 2? For client 2, there is a risk of low saving because when you don't have too high income and your expenses is rather high, chances are there is a good reason, a good excuse for you to say, hey, then I don't have to save. But I always believe that if you don't force yourself to save, even though you save 50 ringgit or 100 ringgit or 500 ringgit a month, that differentiates you from a saver group to a spender group. Because for a spender group who never get to save every month and who never get to, and who always in maybe credit card debt, it's very difficult for them to migrate or to uplift themselves to become saver. So despite the fact that you got another 50 years to plan or another 20 over years to plan for retirement, it's very important for you to build a saving habit. Okay, and increment income, force yourself to save higher. Okay. Of course, like the same like client 1, there is a risk of income loss, and there's not enough family security. As you can see now, the child is just a baby, it's only 1 year old. So some form of insurance need to be provided, not so much on the child's life, but on the main bread income earner's life, so that should something happen, there's enough coverage to take care of the baby girl and the mother. And with the medical expenses I mentioned before. And again, I want to stress despite the fact of many education or much education to be done or initiative to be done on investment or how to grow money, sad to say, many followers, you can see their current return is still not too high. And that is very easily eroded by inflation. So it looks like, KC, you need to work harder.
You mean teach them how to make more return from the money, right?
Yeah, increase return, or motivate the follower to take the action, because sometimes it's not about like they don't have the knowledge, So maybe they read, they heard people sharing, but to take action is very difficult. So you have a big role to play, KC. Then the opportunity to grow, the opportunity to grab is, like I mentioned just now, he still got 29 years before he retires. So he can make time as his ally, to continue to compound the investment return. And considering he's still quite young, he's only 31 years, 31 years old, only a few years in the career. So I would suggest that some of the money he has, he may want to spend to improve himself further, so that he can earn higher income. So I would always think that self-education or invest in your own self to become more competent, to have more skill, is always a good investment. Warren Buffett also says something like this. Because he always suggests to say that we all should invest into something that we know. And who else know us better than other people? So to invest in our own self is to invest into something or someone that we know. And that will prepare for this guy to earn higher income going forward. And I would say his roadmap or his financial plan that he got now is not static. That is only true based on his current income. If he managed to double his income or triple income in 5 or 10 years to come, his roadmap is totally different. So that's why I say there's a lot of opportunity for him. And grab the opportunity of starting early. So the fact that he volunteered himself to want to know where does he stand now, that gives very good awareness that he have. So it's important for him to continue to take action, and continue to enjoy the benefit of starting early. So case number
That's great. Mr. Yap, before we proceed to the case number 3,
yes,
can we define some of the word you said? This is asked by Yuan. He said, when you say retired, what do you mean? What is the definition of retirement?
When I say retirement, what I mean is you stop working. And for most people, is that you stop working, and then whatever asset that you have, your EPF, your properties, your cash, your unit trust, is enough to give you income to maintain your retirement lifestyle. That's what I mean by retirement. But nowadays, there are more people who do not want to retire physically. So for example, now I say 60 years old, some people do not want to retire physically. But for us, when we do financial planning, we will say then that kind of retirement is financially retired. Which is to say, you choose to continue working, but the asset that you have accumulated, say 3 million or 4 million, is enough to take care of your living expenses or your vacation or your medical expenses should you decide to stop working totally, or should you don't receive any active income totally. So there are 2 types of retirement. One is physical retirement, which is more conventional kind of retirement, and another one is financial kind of retirement, which is a new trend now.
And how about the net worth? Do you take EPF into consideration? So like the case number 1 and number 2, is the EPF also counted already?
We do not take into before 55 years old. We do not take into EPF calculation. We only inject EPF money at the age of 55 years old.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah. Okay. But for this case, what we actually do is that we will, because it's a simplified version, we just lump everything in together. Because you can see when we key in the information, we do not put a separate column or separate box for you to key in your EPF amount.
Also, so the app is basically when you
Lump all EPF together as well.
Okay, makes sense. So how about case number 3? So how is the situation?
Okay. Case number 3 is someone in the middle age of 42 years old. He's quite a high income owner. In fact, he is a doctor. He has his own clinic. So he's not an employee. But you can see his expenses is also rather high, 128,000. And when he retire, he want to have 104,000 when he retire. To spend a year. His total asset now is about 1 million. Okay, but most of his asset value come from the home. Okay, so meaning he also have a big house and a big liability as well, 773,000. And as based on our network calculations, by taking out the home value, he will still have a negative net worth. Okay, so then also not too high, also 3%. Okay, then his spouse is now 40 years old, aim to retire at 60 years old. His wife also earning quite a good income, 135,000. Okay, income. They got 3 children. One is 11 years old, another one is 7 years old, another 5 years old, and he wants to provide quite a handsome amount for their tertiary education. 500.
They all need to study a doctor, right? They all need to
Yeah, I
study.
thought that's what doctors always do, right? Huh? They always, if you're doctors, they always encourage their children to become doctors. Huh?
No, at least
So,
they provide enough for them to study doctor if they want to, right?
yes, yes. But I think if you study medicine for 500,000, may not be enough. No? If you go overseas,
You say may not be enough, right?
may not be enough,
Oh,
even at current price.
yeah.
Okay, so if you look at his current roadmap here, you can see here his wealth will last up to the age of about 65 years old. And you can see here 1 drop, 2 major drop, and the 3 major drop. This is where the children going to education, tertiary education. So that's why his wealth will last very early at 65 years old. Okay, so if he were to increase the return from 3% now to 8%, he can make the wealth last longer to age 60 years old. Not too much, no? Only 5 years extra. It is not enough. So second thing, what he can do is to increase his retirement age from 60 to 65 years old. And you can see his wealth now can last up to 80 years old. For this case, he definitely can afford to do that because he runs his own practice. No? Some doctor, they can run their practice even up to the age of 70 years old or 75 years old. That's possible. Okay.
Yes.
And then the third action is to reduce retirement expenses, current expenses from 128,000 to 116,000, which means to say to save extra 12,000. So by doing so, he'll be able to hit that his wealth to last up to the age of 85 years old. And by implement this strategy, as you can see, I always have to look at these numbers here. By implementing the new strategy, he will have an extra of 1.8 million. Which I always think that it is quite an attractive motivation to implement the new strategy. Okay, you think so, KC?
Yeah.
So at least there's if you don't do this strategy, you stick to currently where you are, you have 1.8 million less. Okay, so you can see the combined strategy here. We got number 1, increase the return to 8%. delay retirement age to 65, and save extra 12,000. So by doing so, he'll be able to achieve his financial freedom. Okay, the risk to watch out for him is basically when we talk further to him, he has got some quite a chunk of credit card debt and personal loan. So that's why it doesn't mean that when you have a high income, then you'll be in a very comfortable financial position. A lot of time when you have high income, you also upgrade your living standard. You also spend on a bigger item. So that's where you need to be very careful of not to spend as you wish or as your income increase. You need to be very mindful to make sure that you can force yourself to save the money and invest the money when your income increase. And then again, it's important to provide for family security, okay, to make sure that there's enough insurance coverage for this. And then again, also, I mentioned before that the return is still rather low. So I guess Security Commission, Negara still need to put more efforts to educate Malaysians to invest. The opportunity to grab are like, yes, he is still now 42 years old, still about 18 years before he retire at 60 years old. So he can afford to take qualitative action. So then, and the fact that he got own business, there's an opportunity for him to generate higher income, and then he can also take this higher income to turn it into saving and invest it. And if necessary, he can always delay his retirement. Okay, and the fact that he's running his own business, there is a potential to save more money and build more asset. So I want to come to a conclusion of these three cases that we have. What is common about them, and then what we can learn from these three cases that we have. Number one, as you can see here, by knowing the big picture of where do they stand now, all three of them will finally know that, okay, how far are they from their financial goal, how fast is their wealth growing to support their financial goal. Without this big picture, planning or taking any action, all will be done. So the second point that we can learn here is time is your ally. We must, whatever investment you get into, whatever planning you get into, no matter how low your income is now, how small your asset is now, if you are able to take the opportunity of starting early so that you have 20 years, 30 years to plan for your retirement, to plan for your children's tertiary education, that will always make your planning easier. You don't have to take too much risk. You don't have to achieve too high the return and still yet achieve your financial goals. Okay, and know how to increase return. Knowing how to increase ROI is very important. As you can see in all three cases that I mentioned just now, they can only achieve their financial freedom if they are able to increase their return to 8%. And honestly, 8% is not too high a return to achieve. It's not 18%, it's not 20%, 25%, but yet it's also not too low return. It is not something that you can just put in EPF and get 8%. It's not something that you can just put into double haji and then you get 8%. Okay, it is something whereby you need to take the money out from the bank, learn what are the proper and regulated investment opportunity out there, choose the right investment, and then learn how to monitor the performance, evaluate the performance, and then restructure your investment portfolio and manage it and maintain your investment portfolio as you go along. So this skill, if you don't have this skill, I would say that, as you can see from the mobile app chart just now, it will be very difficult for one to achieve any type of financial goals unless your income is really, really high, double or triple. Unfortunately, I think like what KC mentioned just now, that's not what we are getting as a Malaysian for now compared to KC.
Yeah. So I think that's a very relevant question here from Chin. He said, do you what do you recommend to invest in to really get to like 8% and above?
Yeah. I have been to your webinar a few times. If you know what I recommend, I never recommend one person to put all the money into one particular investment or even one asset class. What is that you don't see that, oh, actually Kenanga Growth Fund is doing very well. Then you take all your money and put into the fund because the fund maybe last year or last 3 years give you 12% return. Then you put everything into one fund. Property is doing well. Then you put everything that you have into buying property and leveraging, taking a loan to buy property to do that. I always advocate that when we have a serious money, it's very important for us to build a investment portfolio with a proper asset allocation statement. And then in your portfolio, you have got properties, you have got unit trust fund, local and overseas exposure, some shares, some good stocks, cash, or maybe even like REITs, or even bond paper. So the idea is to have a combination of this kind of asset class to give you a return of 8%, okay, over the long run. Okay, so each one of them will be able to contribute their opportunity, their return, and also minimize the risk along the way.
Yeah, very good. So thank you very much. Do you have anything to add on these 3 cases, or we do the Q&A session now?
Maybe if there's any question, I'll take some questions.
Okay, guys, if you want to ask any question, can you just type in the Q&A box now so that we can monitor it easily. So the other part of the question is that when we talk about unit trust, right? In Malaysia, we know that the charge, the sales charge is quite high. So
yes.
Is there any suggestion for us to minimize that?
Suggestion to?
Minimize the sales charge. That means
okay.
Extra cost.
Of course, this as far as unit trust sales charge is concerned, it used to be 5.5%, or 6%. And then wait, you go and buy unit trust fund from any company, is like that. But now, as we all know, there are banks who sell unit trust. They also they do not charge as high. Maybe they charge lower, 3%, okay, or even lower than that. And you have got some platform like Fund Supermart or maybe Philip Capital platform. They offer the unit trust fund at the lower sales charge as well. Okay, but of course, those platform is very much a DIY kind of platform. You without advisor, you got to be able to have your knowledge, have your discipline to build your own portfolio, monitor the portfolio, and manage yourself. But to me, when we say unit trust sales charge is high, it is relative. Say for example, you have unit trust fund charging the fee of 5%, okay, compared to another unit trust fund that charges a fee of maybe only 1%. So we can say, hey, from the sales charge, it looks like the 1% of unit trust fund is cheaper. But we must not forget another important value of the unit trust fund is to be able to perform and give you attractive return. Say, for example, just now 8%. So if the fund that charges you 5%, after 1 year or after 3 years, give you, say, 8% annualized compounded return, compared to, after minusing the fee, and compared to another fund that charges you 1% sales charge, but after 3 years, giving you only, say, 3% annualized compounded return. So which one is cheaper? To me, I would like to think the first fund, even though they charge you 5%, but at the end, if they are able to perform, that's what matters. So this is what I learned from my businessman client. When I was much younger, I able go and tell them, Mr. Tan, this is cheaper. No, this is good for you. That Mr. Tan guys tell me that no, it's not a matter cheaper or not cheaper. It's a matter of at the end which fund can serve my objective better of growing my wealth. So especially after the charging the fee. So I always urge the readers or the listeners to pay attention to the bigger picture, rather than just looking at the cost.
Yeah, so as long as the fund can perform, then
Yes.
it doesn't mind to pay them fees since they perform, right?
Yes. The keyword is that provided they can perform and they give.
And
Yes.
how do we know they can perform, right?
Of course, we need to do need to do some due diligence. We need to look at their performance. We need to look at their company background. We need to look at the fund manager, whether the fund manager who used to deliver the return is still with the company. Because in fund management industry, some fund manager, they could be performing for last 5 years, but because they perform so well, they got recruited by another.
Your audio is not connected. Mr. Yap, can I hear you yet?
You cannot hear me?
Okay, you're back. Okay.
Okay, I'm back. Yeah, sorry.
Okay. No problem.
So I just got disappear for a while.
No problem. So let's get to more questions before we end
Yes.
the session for today. Okay. Do you have any specific advice for those who are nearing their retirement age, like 55 to 60? So how do they make use of your iWealth app, and how should they get their retirement?
Okay. Okay, I think there are two stages. Number one, if you are quite near to retirement, use the iWealth app as a starting point. Key in whatever I mentioned just now, and then key in those information, use the iWealth to see where you stand. Okay. Then at least you have an idea how far are you. So if the chart show that, wow, you have a lot of wealth, it's more than enough for you to last to 90 years old, 100 years old, 200 years old, then meaning that you're in a very solid position. So maybe then you have got less need to do anything. But if you go and key in, then you find yourself is being on the borderline situation, or do not have enough to reach the age of 85 years old or 90 years old, then meaning that you're quite borderline situation. So for that matter, I would suggest you to speak to a licensed financial planner. The reason why I say so is that we only retire once in our life, okay? And when that happens, it's very important for us to make the transition from earning monthly income every month to a period whereby we got no income at all. So you also don't know when you retire where the income is supposed to come from. But expenses, installment, rental, petrol, and all the bills still continue. So for that, it warrants any person who's going to retire maybe 3 years or 2 years from the retirement to sit down with a licensed financial planner to do a proper cash flow planning. To examine what will be your cash, what will be your income, passive income, active income, whatever income that you have versus whatever expenses you're going to have. And if there's a gap, what you should do. So I would say when we face in such an important transition in our life, to be less stressful, kill less cell our body, we should go in the red tower planning, and then put in place proper backup plan so that we have a smooth transition to retirement so that you can enjoy your golden retirements.
Okay, well said. Diana has a view about the children education funds. You said, it's she doesn't agree to reduce the children education fund because he said inflation rate keeps on increasing for education. The children are still very young and you need time to grow. So what's your view on that?
Yeah, of course, when you don't reduce education fund, okay, you need to adjust other financial goals. Okay, you need to adjust your other financial strategies. Say, for example, either you reduce your retirement expenses that you or retirement living expenses that you can afford, or either you delay your retirement, or you may need to increase the return, that you can achieve from your investment in order for you to maintain the same children's tertiary education provision and still retire with the kind of lifestyle that you want. But let's put it this way. Even though I show something so tangible to you, something with a lot of numbers and a lot of calculation, please do not be mistaken that this is going to be cast in the stone. Because our life is very dynamic. This chart that I showed to you at best serve as a reference, serve as a guide to give you a feeling as to where you stand now, for you to act on some strategies. The truth is, the chart will change every 6 months or change every year, especially when you got increment, you sell some property or you buy some investment, so your children grow up. So it is a dynamic plan. So even though you may need to sacrifice, say, oh, now instead of providing 200,000, I can only afford to provide 100,000. That is the plan that you have for now. Later on, as your financial position improve, you can always increase your provision for your children. So I can be very honest with you, say for myself, when I first started, say 15 years ago, I also do not provide too much for my children. I can only afford maybe, say, 150,000. That is a reality of where I am. But as my business do better, as my income grows, as my asset grow, then I say, hey, I can tell my wife to say, hey, now I can afford to send my children to overseas, then I can increase it to maybe 500,000 or 600,000. So life and our financial management is not fixed. It will continue to grow. So that's why I mentioned just now for the young client just now who's 31 years old, do not be depressed. Do not be very frustrated with the fact that you see, wow, I got to sacrifice this and sacrifice that. Because that is not permanent. As long as you put in more attention, you learn more, invest more, learn from the mistake, learn from the success, you will eventually become better and better. And that I can tell you for sure, because being in my position, I've seen thousands of kind of charts, in my company, thousands of clients that we have served before.
Yeah, great. Yeah. So about this is a question by Huang. He said everybody will fall sick and pass away, will die. So are these just to be covered with insurance, or is there any other option?
I would say getting sick or passing away prematurely is something that we cannot avoid. So that's why so far insurance is the best vehicle to give a protection to family. It's just that insurance has got many types. It has got endowment insurance, it has got whole life, it has got investment link, it has got term. So I do not care about, as a responsible financial planner, I do not care about what name you call it, but what we always ask a client to do for, if you need, say, 500,000 coverage, look for insurance product or insurance company that can give you 500,000 protection, solid coverage from solid company, but with the lowest premium. Cut away all those investment element, cut away all those saving element, then you will find that you will end up having a term insurance which is very affordable to you. Then the rest of the money, like what people say, buy term and invest the balance. Unfortunately, in Malaysia, most of the insurance agents who make some insurance policy as a business may not like to recommend term insurance to you, because by recommending term insurance, which has got lowest premium ever, that is not very good for their business. So, from many clients' experience, that they just can't buy this insurance policy from a typical insurance agent. No? So I would suggest you need to look hard and insist that you want this kind of policy so that you can keep your insurance premium to minimum and still get the coverage you want.
Yeah, great. So whatever product you want the highest coverage that is enough for you, and then you pay the least premium. That's the might be the best policy, right? So what's the suggested ratio to income if you are getting a life insurance?
In Wickman, we were suggesting about 15%. Okay. For those insurance policy that purely for protections, it shouldn't be more than 15%. Okay. In fact,
that's the premium, right? You pay. You mean?
Yeah, the premium that you pay a year compared to the gross income that you have shouldn't be more than 15%.
How about the coverage then? How many times of a cover? How about your income?
As a financial planner, we plan the coverage in a very detailed manner. Basically, like the chart we showed you just now, we create a death scenario with how much asset will be left behind, how much EPF left behind, and then how much asset extra money needed for the wife to maybe reach saving maybe 60 years old, or maybe the children to reach 25 years old. So we use a very detailed and very targeted kind of calculations.
So each person will be different because you are
each family will be different. Yes. Yeah. So we don't have a ballpark calculation.
Yeah, great.
So that's why I say just now, to keep not more than 15% into life insurance company premium. Okay. Keep it to 10%.
Okay, good. Here is a very good question from Kat May. She's asking, how do you set the target amount of your retirement needs? I mean, when you retire, how much you want to spend? So how do you decide that amount?
Basically, it's important for you to look at your current lifestyle. Okay. For example, if your current lifestyle is that you're spending say 10,000 per month, so you know that when you retire, it's very difficult for you to cut yourself to 2,000 per month. Okay, so the rule of thumb in the industry is to set 70% of your last expenses. So, for example, say before you retire, when you're at 5 years old, your spending is 10,000. So you should plan that in such a way that your retirement expenses should be somewhere around 7,000. At least to cover your lifestyle. Unless you decided to move to more Ibasa, got more ulu place with a living standard, living expenses, then you can cut your retirement expenses to 5,000. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, like for example, you're from KL, you move to Changlun or something, right? Very close.
Yeah, I don't know where Changlun.
Near to Thailand. So the more up north will be cheaper, right? More south will be
yes, or maybe you move to Thailand also cheaper. Yes. Okay. So anyway, it's still personal.
Yep.
Yes. If you are too young, just to qualify. If you are too young, for example, you are 31 years old, it's very hard for you to imagine when you are 55 years old how much will you need. But still, for planning purpose, you still need to put a figure there.
Yeah, you're right. So, last but not least, let's get to this before we wrap it up.
Yes.
The comment from Yi, she said that the local unit trust performance is really bad this year. She said
yes.
The return is even worse than the EPF. So, what's your advice for them?
You see, when we invest into unit trust, invest in share, into any investment, we must not take their 1 year performance to evaluate to say, oh, this is a good investment, this is a bad investment. No? Because if you keep looking at like 1 year and use it as a measurement of whether unit trust or whether share it's a good investment based on what they did in the year 2018, that is a wrong assessment. So what we need to look at is that look at a unit trust fund, say with an equity fund, maybe an Asia Pacific fund. We should look at the past 5 years, past 10 years. What is the average return they are giving you? No, and assuming that you are investing for the next 10 years, okay, if they are giving you, they were giving say 7% or 9% return, okay, so then you will see whether this 9% past track record return, whether that will fit into your investment portfolio for the next 10 years. Because if we talk about 10 years, maybe there are 2 cycles, two market crises in between that will give you a fair idea as what is the expected return of the investment. So never use a short-term investment performance to judge a long-term investment vehicle. That is a big no-no.
Yeah, very good answer. So before you let all you guys go away, please go download this app, iWealth. You can find it at Google Play Store or Apple App Store. It is free for you guys. So just put in a number, then you can plug your own, plot your own chart. So that's all from me today. Mr. Yap, anything you want to wrap it up?
I'm glad, but for those people who are listening to this program, I'm glad they take their time out to listen to it. I want to assure them that whatever time they put in to learn either from KC Lau or to learn from me, it will not be wasted. Going forward, you will see all this knowledge will come into play, come into adding value to your wealth. So I wish you all the best in your journey to achieve financial freedom.
Thank you so much. So we'll see you all again in the next webinar. So bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.